G'day there, ladies and ledians! Welcome back to Pokemon Links, where we connect the dots with theories. Every region have a few commonalities when it comes to Pokemon. There are early birds and rodents, and bugs, and even later on there are pseudo legendaries. Every region is going to have at least one of these Pokemon, guaranteed. There is another chart across the regions that is very peculiar though. I'm of course talking about the electric rodents of the generations. Are they just randomly placed there by the developers? Or is there an in-universe reason for their inclusion? That's what we're finding out today on Pokemon Links. So first, let's go over the out-of-universe reason for so many electric rodents. Well, let's just say there is a good reason everyone knows one Pokemon. Maybe you ever asked a fan to name a Pokemon and they respond with Pikachu. Pokemon being as big as it is has its mascot Pokemon, which is Pikachu. You can love him or hate him, but you gotta admit that it's perhaps one of the best mascot Pokemon from Gen 1. Alternative mascots that were possible were Clefairy and I believe Meowth, maybe Psyduck as well, but it's unclear. I'm just imagining a world where we have Clefairy coins instead of Pikachu coins. That'd be interesting. And so Pikachu got the mascot treatment. It was redesigned to be less chunky, and even its cry got changed, which is another topic for another day. So, wanting to get more people interested in other regions or generations, they decided to have more Pokemon that share qualities with Pikachu, that being an electric type rodent. I say rodent because not all of them are mice. We have Pachirisu, which is a squirrel, and Emolga, which is a flying squirrel. Collectively, the Pikachu coins are a bunch of electric rodents designed to recreate a mascot. It is a bit weird that they would be designing more Pokemon to potentially replace Pikachu, but hey, as we all know, Pokemon is pretty successful, so if it works, it works. So, from an outside the universe perspective, they are coins just for the sake of marketing or cute interactions. It could also be that they were running out of ideas for single-stage electric types and just hit copy-paste. But what about from an in-universe perspective? Is there a reason for so many electrical rodents to be in the world? To answer that question, we could look at some of the commonalities of these rodents and extrapolate some possible reasons for the rest of the Pokemon world. So, perhaps the most common thing between these Pikachu coins are their cheeks. Electricity is stored in their cheeks, which resemble a power outlet, and so there would be a functional circuit inside the rodent's body that would allow for the movement of electricity. Put in other words, one cheek is positive, one cheek is negative. For the storing of electricity, their body would have to somewhat resemble a battery. So we're talking metals such as copper or lithium, and maybe also some sulfuric acid or salt. Fundamentally, this makes them steel-type adjacent. Togedemaru is also steel-type, so it seems to have an affinity for steel-type. You can't just have metals inside your body. You need your outside to be metallic. What is interesting, however, is the duo of Puzzle and Minun. One is positively charged, the other is negatively charged. It's basically one Pikachu split into two. On their own, they are barely an electric type. Minun is closer to being electric because electrons have a negative charge, but without a positive charge, they are both effectively a normal or even a ground type. It's only together can they realistically produce any electricity. It does seem to be a bit concerning that the electricity comes from within the rodents. Some Pokemon like Mareep or Electrike use static electricity from their fur to launch at the foes. It being more biological means there is a chemical process for them to acquire that electricity. They could get it directly from the planet though. Whether it's from processing metallic ions from their food or directly getting a spark from the planet, it could be possible for the rodents to acquire electricity from consuming. Morpeko is constantly hungry, meaning a fast metabolic rate, which could also be like constantly charging and discharging. You get what I mean? You might be saying though that they wouldn't be able to get electricity from the planet. Everyone knows that ground doesn't conduct electricity. Well, for the most part you are correct. The reason that we use the planet Earth when it comes to electricity safety is because the planet is very large, so the charge we give it is dispersed across the entire planet, effectively making it nullified electricity. It does mean that it does have a limit of the electricity it can store. Everything is able to conduct electricity just at different rates. If you have an extremely high voltage, even rubber would be conductive. It's just super difficult to do and requires more electricity than it's worth. Very inefficient. Some ground type Pokemon are more of a resistor than they are made of earth. The thick skin of Ranas are resistors as well as bones. Donphan is basically tire and an elephant. Elviskin is very resistant, but the rubber on the Donphan also helps. While theoretically electric types would be able to harm ground types, they are effectively immune to electric type moves. This is a really scary theory though, because following this logic, the planet in the Pokemon games is negatively charged instead of positively charged. Part of the reason why grounding works is because of the massive positive charge of the planet. But with these rodents absorbing the electrons, the negative charge from the planet, it isn't great. Pop quiz. What happens when the planet is negatively charged? That's right, there's disaster. Everything in the field of electromagnetism fundamentally doesn't work the way we know it if the planet is negatively charged. Think about it. Lightning from clouds goes from negative to positive, so there would be no lightning, at least the way we know it. Electricity would not be able to function the same way. Even pigeons would get affected. Homing pigeons are able to locate their home from a tiny magnetic field in their brain, so they know where home is because they basically have a compass in their head. When you mess with electricity, you mess with magnetism. So to have magnets with two Pokemon links in a row, but it's important to talk about. Moving electricity creates a magnetic field, and moving magnets create an electrical charge. This is how we are able to generate electricity, for example. So, when the electrical charge of the planet is thrown into chaos, so too would Earth's magnetic field. We wouldn't be able to use magnets or electricity, but let's continue. Without our planet's magnetic field, we would be bombarded by high energy charged particles from solar flares, which would, let's just say, be very bad for the planet. Currently, the magnetic field intercepts these particles, which can be seen by auroras. It happens elsewhere, but it's most commonly visible near the North and South Poles. Needless to say that the Pokemon world would be unlivable. Except they have these electric rodents. With the planet having such a large amount of negative charge, it would be the end. Electric rodents are able to consume this negative charge, but help to fix the situation. By taking the negative charge out, the planet would become mostly positive, which then means that the planet functions normally. And so it could be argued that these Pikachu coins are possibly the most important species in the Pokemon world. Think about this. Between Viridian City and Pikachu City is Viridian's forest. The city is constantly expanded as new businesses emerge and populations grow, but this forest is not destroyed. It could be for the trees, but it's more likely to be actively avoided for the sake of preserving a species. One such Pokemon in Viridian Forest is Pikachu. The people of the Pokemon world are aware of the importance of the electrical rodents. They are the national treasures of the regions, and so maybe there are so many variants because they are necessary around the world. Treat your mascot with respect, and they will protect you. And so that's it for today's theory. Sorry for giving you a lecture on some science, but not many theories use science to help out with theories. I am curious if I have changed your mind about anything in the Pokemon world, or if I told you at least one thing you didn't know before. Please, share your comments below. I would like to thank you for watching. I'll see you later.